Okay, we are here to talk about Alien Earth, Season 1, Episode 7, Emergence. This series created by Noah Hawley. This episode written by Noah Hawley and Maria Melnick and directed by Dana Gonzalez. A lot here in this one, so here we go. We'll settle in for this. Smee discovers that Slightly is hiding Arthur's body in his room. Slightly convinces him to come to the beach and assist in delivering Arthur to Morrow. A security team attempts to clean up the lab after the incident with the fly, but Wendy discovers they're trying to cover up Isaac's death, so she hacks into the security system and sets the xenomorph free. That xenomorph then kills a lot of the scientists and security officers. Wendy then finds Nibs and Joe and convinces them to come with her and escape the island. As Slightly and Smee try to head towards the beach with Arthur, Kirsch stops them and offers them a faster way to get there. While on the beach, Arthur wakes up confused about where he is. The facehugger has fallen off. Soon, the new xenomorph bursts from his chest and escapes back onto the island. Morrow and his Yutani soldiers find Slightly and Smee and take them both into custody. Morrow's team shortly thereafter is intercepted by Kirsch at the Prodigy building, and Kirsch reveals he has the new xenomorph in his custody. Meanwhile, Boy Cavalier observes the damage done by the aliens in the lab, but is mostly interested in the intelligence of the sheep with Eye Alien inside and decides he wants to try it on a human. As the episode ends, Wendy, Nibs, and Joe attempt to flee the island, but they're stopped by Prodigy soldiers. Wendy communicates with the grown xenomorph and it kills them all. At the boat, the Neverland security team confronts them, but Nibs kills one of them, prompting Joe to shoot her with the electrified gun. Wendy and the nearby trained xenomorph are furious that Joe would turn on them. So a lot of things learned, a lot of time in and out of the lab in this episode. I was maybe more or most intrigued by the idea that is Wendy controlling this xenomorph now? Is she sort of got this thing under his control? Are they just allies? Are they what is their relationship now that she's learned to essentially be able to communicate with it?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I read it more like they're friends, I guess, open to some interpretation. I think going to the level of saying she's controlling it is probably
Mm,
too far. You know, is the xenomorph tame?
yeah,
Not really, but she has managed to establish some level of relationship with it.
right.
And you put a link on her sheet to this interview with Noah Hawley, which I did read. Um, that's some interesting kind of insights. But I'm curious what you think, Ryan. I mean, did this work for you to imagine that Wendy could have this kind of relationship with the xenomorph?
I I guess I read it more as maybe I wanted them to be more allies or to understand that they were after the same thing, but it just read to me like anytime she would communicate with it, she would be telling it what to do and it would do it. Or so maybe that their interests are aligned that way. I don't know. It just seems like have we established already that Wendy is able to not just communicate with this thing, but sort of have it follow them around and protect this group of people and do what she wants it to do. There's a little bit in this piece that we can link to about the communication and connection that different aliens have forged and that we've seen in the movies. But this was just an interesting dynamic, maybe one that I wasn't expecting. We knew that there was a communication, but man, this sort of I don't know if it's telekinetic or if it's some other kind of connection. Just I don't know, threw me for a little bit. Made for interesting action scenes, but I don't know. It kind of was just unexpected on my end.
Well, she has to make the noises, right? Like
Yeah,
she speaks the xenomorph
exactly.
language.
Yeah,
I think
Joe trying
that's
to
the
cover her
idea.
mouth. Yeah,
And there's a level at which, she connected with it right after it hatched and so on, and
hmm
has been continuing to, kind of establish that relationship. So I think it mostly works for me. Yeah, we could think about like a tiger or something like that
mm
along similar kinds of lines. Like, can you fully tame a tiger? I don't know, man, but you can kinda, establish some relationship and so on. Um, Speaking of the films, I went and watched Alien Resurrection this past
Ah,
week,
okay, good.
which we mentioned on here before as something like, oh, maybe I should rewatch that. It's been quite some time. I think it literally had been since 1997 when I saw it in the theater. And yeah, man, I definitely think there's some stuff in there that Hawley is pulling inspiration from.
Okay. Okay.
I don't know if you recall the film,
Not
and
much at all.
so I'm just assuming that anyone listening is okay with Alien Resurrection spoilers. Do you think that's fair?
I think we're in the alien universe. We can go right
Okay,
ahead with that.
okay. So you recall they've been sorry, they've been trying to clone Ripley, who
Hmm.
died at the end of Alien 3, with a xenomorph inside of her. And they finally succeeded. And of course, what
Yeah.
they're after is the xenomorph. They cut her open and they take the xenomorph out. So far, so good, compelling film, right? And Ripley then, or clone Ripley, because she's like has the xenomorph DNA like mixed up in her genetics.
Hmm.
Um, is whatever special in various ways. And it's all pretty interesting. But like, then Ron Perlman and Winona Ryder show up and all of that kind of stuff.
Yes.
Um, but then it turns out, right, that the xenomorph also has some human DNA. And this is the part where it gets kind of stupid, right? I think this is what people don't like. But maybe even here there's something to think about in relation to Alien Earth. Okay. Because
Hmm.
in Resurrection, it ends up being the case that like the xenomorph has human DNA, so that it actually does like a live birth.
Mm.
And then there's like the ugly baby boy xenomorph. You remember this at all?
I'm remembering it. There's also some stuff like this in Alien Romulus. I don't know if you've seen Alien Romulus, but some similar things.
I have, yeah, but relatively recently. But anyway, but no, but the big thing that would relate or resonate with what's going on with Wendy here is I'm pretty sure like the baby boy xenomorphs like calling Ripley mama and stuff. Like it wants that kind of connection, which she rejects, you
Yeah.
know. So I think again there's all sorts of ways in which in this TV series Hawley is taking inspiration from things that happen in the films,
Yeah.
but often kind of inverting them,
Hmm.
right? Because it's in Alien Resurrection, it seems like Ripley slash clone Ripley could have had this kind of connection with the baby boy xenomorph. I mean, it's like a new species. I don't even know what to call it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But she's like, oh no, that's disgusting, right? Um, Whereas in the show, of course, Wendy is establishing a relationship with the xenomorph. Look, I don't know. I don't know how much insight was
Yeah.
there, but I did find myself thinking about that having
My mind,
listened.
my mind actually went to, I guess it's episode two, where they had the xenomorph implanted in Joe's lung that they took out of his body. And I got to thinking, oh, well, there's some sense of shared DNA there, but there's not, because I don't believe we have any knowledge of DNA being transferred over to Wendy from Marcy when that personality or consciousness was transferred. So there's nothing that's there. There's something about Wendy's abilities and how she is created in this hybrid sense that's allowing her to connect.
Right. I mean, so you're not getting that kind of biological connection. It's
Right.
rather what? And we've noted before, there's always been some kind of weird relationship between synths and the xenomorphs in a certain way, and they're playing with that
Hmm.
as well. I don't know. Anyway, at least for me, I think it works.
Yeah. Yeah.
At the end of the day, when it comes down to it, I don't imagine that she has some kind of complete control over the xenomorph or anything like that. But I'm thinking of it along those lines of how you can train a lion or something like that. Still a dangerous creature. Um, I don't know about you. I kind of wanted her to call it in to kill everyone at the end of the episode.
It does make for some an interesting dynamic you can have at any point in time that you can sort of on demand have a xenomorph do what you need to. And now that there's multiple ones loose, not loose necessarily, but on the island, and we sort of got this maybe sort of what we're left with in the episode. I'm curious if she plans to now unleash this on Joe, because Joe is sort of turned on the synth or turned on Wendy's best friend there and if not killed, at least disabled her so that he can take Wendy and escape, it seems.
Yeah, well, he's yelled, she's yelling, "What did you do?"
Yeah,
at the end of the episode, and of course, it was surrounded by soldiers and all of that. And it really does seem like the very next beat could be her calling down the xenomorph, but it's the end of the episode. And then I don't think that's going to be the beginning of the next episode. I think she's going to not do that.
right,
But it definitely felt like in that moment, she was considering it. I mean, there's one point where she does start making a call and Joe stops her.
right,
And we've talked about this a bit before, how it was going to play out in terms of her loyalties, as it were, to Joe versus the xenomorph versus Prodigy, I guess. So it's
yes.
maybe the three. Um, she's ready to leave with Joe. She's turned off on Prodigy. Now, I mean, like Isaac's dead and all of
Yeah,
that. I think that all makes sense. But where do you think
but,
she's at here at the end?
but that was before I think Joe seemingly made a snap decision to side with his colleagues and humans over Wendy and Nibs. And again, we're sort
Yeah.
of left with this, Nibs is in some kind of state that we don't know. Is she dead? Is she just disabled? Is she just, stunned? What's the situation here? But yeah, I think that Wendy is quickly learning that the only ally she has on this island is the xenomorph, right? And if there's some sense of who's on my side, is really no one except this alien.
Right. And of course, it makes sense from Joe's perspective as well. This is his unit, or at least some of them, right?
Hmm.
I'm not sure if all of them are, but at least some of them are um, people that he's worked with before, right? Like his comrades in arms in his job as a medic or whatever, right? So the fact that Nibs um, starts going on a rampage against them, Joe's not okay with the idea of killing all the soldiers so that they can get away. And,
Right,
that's
right.
why he shoots Nibs. And I think that makes sense. But then, yeah, from Wendy's perspective, that's a bit of a betrayal, right?
Exactly,
Because
exactly.
and you can
Yeah.
also take it at the level of you're prioritizing human beings over us, and they've just seen their graves and so on, also, which I don't know why those are there. I mean,
Yeah, I think I thought that about that as well, in the sense that they are there so that at least those two characters have some finality of we've been sort of considering what our place is here and who we are and what our role is. This is to show us that, you know, we are not we are not considered, nor have we ever been considered as humans or part of that group here on this island. We are considered like these aliens. We are species to be experimented on. We are species that they can control. There are things that they have allowed us to do or that they have not allowed us to do. We are not these people anymore. Those people are in the ground, right? So what we are is just basically property, IP to them. And so it's just sort of the sense of finality. And I think that's what maybe clinches her decision to take Nibs and Joe and say, let's get out of here because we can't, I can't be part of this anymore.
yeah, no, that all makes sense. I guess I'm thinking from Prodigy's perspective, why have these tombstones and all of that?
Yeah. Why have it be so
Um,
out there, like right in front of people when yeah.
I mean, I guess maybe for the purpose of making that point to the hybrids at some point, if they
Yeah,
want to do that, look, you're not who you used to be or something. But
right, right.
yeah, the risk of being overly cynical or something, part of me just feels like Prodigy would, just throw the corpses in the trash and move on, and they have
Exactly,
graves.
exactly.
Um, there's something else there too, where there were, the previous conversation, I think, between Arthur and Sylvia about worst case scenario, we killed some kids. And I said,
Yeah.
well, you did do that.
Yes,
The
poor
the graves also indicate that they know that at some level, right?
yeah. Back when our friend Arthur was still with us and apparently married to Dame Sylvia. Yeah, Arthur having a rough time of it on this on this island.
I did feel real bad for the guy in this episode, I must say, after he wakes up, the
Yeah.
face hugger's fallen off, and that whole scene where he's trying to convince Smee and Slightly to go back and how he loves them and he'll help them and we'll all figure this out together. come on, boys.
Yeah.
Both of them, by the way, also kudos to the actors.
Oh
I thought
yeah.
that particularly in this episode, but really throughout, they've done a great job of um, being young boys in
Yeah.
their demeanor, in their personality, in their decision making, in all of that.
I will say I questioned this several weeks ago. Over the last few weeks, that's really grown on me, particularly with these two characters. I think the Smee and Slightly relationship, how they're making decisions like children would, how they're being talked to like children would be talked to, how they're reconciling things like children would. Yeah, I think they've done a really good job.
Yeah. But so Arthur dies. Unsurprised. I mean, the only question was like, are they going to make it to Murrow with the
Right.
xenomorph still inside of them? And no.
Yeah.
All right. So that xenomorph gets on the loose. As you mentioned in your summary, Kirsch et al., they get it, right? So you ultimately have the standoff between Kirsch and Morrow, and that Kirsch has won. I guess, at least I started thinking once we got to that point that this was Kirsch's plan all along. What do you think?
Okay. This is my theory as well. That I mean, we have this conversation about. Well, there's two paths, but here's the path I'm going down is Kirsch is giving them the fast elevator to the beach. Get there as quickly as you can, um, because he sees them with Arthur, who's still got the thing inside of him, and in a sense of he wants them to find Morrow. He wants Morrow to make and that group to make their way to where he is. I'm sensing that there's a plan in motion by Kirsch that there's something happening between there's something that's being planned between Morrow and Kirsch that makes them think that they're more on the same side that we may think they are. There's a sense
Interesting.
of they're doing this together, or maybe it's not even that that's together apart from the corporations, but Kirsch is more maybe on the more Utani side than we are led to believe here. I think that there's a sense of he wants this alien to get out, he wants this thing to go to them. I just trying to reconcile why he would send them quickly to the beach unless it was to make sure that they get to Morrow before the xenomorph comes out because he knows that's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going a slightly different direction than you, I think, when it comes down to it. Because what I'm thinking is, we've been asking for several weeks, why is Kirsch just allowing all of this to happen?
Yep.
He knows what's going on with Slightly. He's overheard uh, Morrow asking him to do things.
Yeah.
He just goes ahead and lets Slightly do the stuff with Arthur and so on and so forth. And I think it was last week when we were talking about this and wondering whether Kirsch was plotting a coup or something like this. And some of the stuff you were just referring to, I think, is would be related to those kinds of theories we were discussing last week, maybe. By the time we get to the end of this episode, I find myself thinking, oh, Kirsch just did a really risky plan to catch Morrow.
Mm, mm. Yes, this is the second path. I'm glad we're on maybe one of us going down each one of these because that I can certainly see that as well.
So like he let Slightly do all this stuff in order to capture Morrow.
Yeah, just send them out there
Um,
as bait, basically.
yeah, just yeah, it's a trap, ultimately.
Yeah.
We know what Slightly is doing, we know where Morrow's going to come, and so on and so forth, right? So he doesn't loop Kid Cavalier in on the plan, or wait, what's his name? Is it Kid Cavalier?
Boy Cavalier.
Boy Cavalier. It's sort of stupid name. He doesn't loop him in or anything like that on the plan, but I think ultimately it makes sense or it tracks if you read it in that way, that this is just, okay, I'm going to let Slightly do this. So that will draw Murrow to the island,
Yeah.
and then we know where he's going to be, and I'll be able to capture the cyborg nemesis. Because I think they have him in custody at the end of the episode, right?
They do. It looks like that they have, yeah, he says something to the effect of, no one likes a sore loser. Basically, you're beaten, Morrow, so come with us. And so, yeah, it does have a sense that Kirsch in control here, has both Smee slightly and Morrow and his whole crew. captured there. And in addition, he has one of the xenomorphs or the baby xenomorph in some kind of cage. Now that thing's going to outgrow that thing. If it's the pace of this show, it's going to outgrow it in about 5 minutes because those things are
Yeah.
growing pretty fast at this point. So, yeah, this is, I mean, definitely the most compelling thing that's going into the finale is what is Kircher's plan? What is he going to do not only with Morrow and these people, but with this xenomorph he's got locked up?
Right, which presumably you just put in the lab. The lab seemed to be holding the other one pretty well until Wendy let it go.
Yeah.
I will say they don't seem quite concerned enough about the other xenomorph that's loose on the island.
Yeah. When that happened and Kirsch and Cavalier are looking at it loud, watching it on the screen, they're both just like, huh, okay, yeah, I guess that's what's gonna happen. We'll, find them later. Oh, the trackers are turned off. Okay, well, I guess we'll go try to find where they are. No real sense of urgency there on the fact that at least Kirsch knows what these things can do, but not a sense of it's under control right now.
I mean, I guess it's a shared hubris or whatever that we'll figure it out, you know. So from Kirsch's perspective, maybe it makes a little bit more sense than from a human perspective. Um, that yeah, maybe he's thinking, okay, well, the first thing is Morrow,
Yeah.
and then the second thing is we've got a xenomorph on the loose out there. Eh, we'll get to
Yeah.
it.
At least it's out there. It's not inside the building anymore. Yeah, we'll find it eventually.
Yeah, we're on it. It's an island.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, so yeah, really curious to see how that all shapes up. Jumping back to Wendy, if she's not going to call the xenomorph down, well, then the soldiers are going to take her and Nibs and Joe back to the base.
Yeah, that's what I guess that's what confused me about this whole thing and going back to our initial conversation. Even if she doesn't communicate it with it and say, attack or whatever it is that she's doing, however she's prompting it, it's not like this thing's predator instincts are going to turn off. It's been following them. She told it to stay close. So, I mean, isn't it not going to attack those people regardless of what she does?
I don't know. Maybe it won't,
Yeah.
you know. Um, but them going back to the lab, back to the base, whatever term is appropriate, that's certainly not what Wendy wants.
Right. Right.
Nibs got shot by the stun gun thing. I don't know if is Nibs okay or not. What happens when a hybrid is shot by that kind of weapon? I don't
Yeah.
think we know.
I would be really disappointed if that's the last we see of Nibs.
I doubt it will be,
Yeah.
but it look, what I guess what I'm trying to get at is if things go according to Prodigy's plan, they'll bring those three back to the lab. They'll work on Dibs a little bit and get her going again.
Yeah.
Um, but Wendy's not happy. And then I kind of think that Boy Cavalier wants to put the eyeball octopus in Joe. What do you think?
I think, yeah, we get a sense of, oh, we're just going to put it in a mold scrubber. But then he says, oh, I know the perfect, person. Yes, if they bring Joe back, who has tried to escape with his product and has been told to leave anyways. Yeah, Joe, Joe is our last man standing in terms of candidates that can get this thing. And I'm quite fearful for him going into the finale.
Yeah. I mean, it's possible he could have been thinking of Arthur. He's clearly thinking of someone, right?
Yeah.
He doesn't know what happened to Arthur at that point, I don't think. He knows Arthur's missing.
Yeah.
Um,
Adam is there with him. I don't know if they had a conversation that I think they had a conversation that, oh, he wasn't on the ship or wasn't where he was supposed to be when we told him to go. So yeah, he's MIA to them basically.
right. So I just don't think they're going to take that path because
Yeah.
it's not narratively very interesting to have Cavalier land on the thought of doing it to a guy who ends up being dead,
Yeah.
but he has someone in mind. The eyeball seems to be very smart, seems to know pi.
Those next three digits of pi at least. Yeah.
So he wants to put it into a human being and see what happens then.
Yeah. Now we
And
saw this for a minute in
mhm,
episode 5. when it goes into the engineer, and then that engineer battled the xenomorph, and I guess it left after that, after kind of losing that battle. But we haven't really seen the full nature of what it could do if inside a human.
Yeah, I remember wondering at the time whether, given sufficient time, it could figure out how to talk.
Yeah. Yep.
Because in that episode, it doesn't. It can't talk. The guy just kind of like groans and stuff after he's been taken over by the eyeball octopus. Um, so that's a question. And how much resolution are we going to get in the season finale? I guess is another question. I find myself wondering if it will be extra long.
Yeah.
I even tried to look into this on the internet and I couldn't find a runtime or anything, but I certainly wouldn't be surprised about a
Yeah.
90-minute finale. I mean, there's a lot of loose ends, dangling threads, or what have you. On the
There.
other hand, we know Noah Hawley wants to make multiple seasons, so maybe it doesn't all have to be resolved in
Yeah.
next week's episode.
That
So
was a little nugget I picked up from the official podcast this morning. They had Dana Gonzalez on talking about directing this episode. He's also doing the finale of this season, and he just made sort of an offhanded comment about the story has to naturally let us progress into the next season. So is that a sort of, does he know something that's not been announced yet? Or, what's the plan? We talked about, will this progress into a next season or will this be more of an anthology? So I tend to, with that comment, think that, yeah, we're going to get some things answered here, but also maybe quite a few things are going to be set up for a potential second season in this next episode.
yeah, I think so at this point. I don't think it's going to be a closed story with the possibility of anthology installments. I think it does seem like it's more likely to be a narrative that remains somewhat open at the end of season one, because I mean,
Yep.
there's just so many things that haven't been resolved. Now we've got a second xenomorph on the
Yeah,
island.
right.
You've got the dispute between Prodigy and Utani. They've taken Morrow into custody. You could expect then there should be some further interaction between these two companies along the lines of,
Yep.
hey, you sent your cyborg to infiltrate our base. Lawyers again, maybe, you know what I mean? Or
Yeah,
monetary compensation again, whatever, right? And there's all
yeah.
of that. There's the whole plan with the hybrids that's kind of going to shit, but they still had that idea. There's supposed to be some presentation in a few days or whatever. They snuck that in on the
Yes,
margins, right?
yes. Yeah,
Um,
yeah. Cavalier says, well, they ruined that $6 billion. Just eh, that
Lost
money
one.
down the drain. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's just a lot. On the other hand, given the setup of things, you know, you certainly could end the story anytime you wanted to. You just have the xenomorph kill everyone or kill almost everyone, and then
It's just loose on Earth. Yeah.
well, no, it would have to die as well somehow at the end,
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
and then so that there would be no more alien threat. Um, so we'll see. There's really a lot of possibilities, as you were just kind of indicating, right? If the aliens didn't die, if they just killed everyone on the island, then there'd be like, well, hey, that's season two. There's a
There it is.
island on Earth that's got alien life on it.
There's a pretty
Someone,
clear path here of everything in Prodigy is destroyed. And so Utani tries to come, and then the other three corporations hear about what's going on. They try to come and take these things. So there's a sense of we've got three corporations we haven't heard of yet or had any exposure to. So that could be a part of the second season.
right? I think the biggest question I have is how much of Prodigy survives.
Hmm.
Um, Meaningfully, it could be all of it.
Yeah.
Like clearly not all the people, but it could be the case that we end season one and Boy Cavalier is still alive and
Yep.
he's put the eyeball into Joe or something. Um, and cliffhanger. I don't know. I don't know. I don't
Yeah.
know. They haven't really mentioned Curly or Sylvia very much. I don't know how much I have to say about this. Just to note what's
Yeah.
going on with Curly, who won't. She refuses to leave with Wendy and Joe. In contrast to Nibs, but she does seem to be keeping the secret the last we see her. but she's upset, seeking comfort from Sylvia, and I don't know. Any further thoughts about Curly?
Just made me think of I think she's had one other impactful scene in this season where she approaches Boy and says, "I want to be your favorite. I want to be here. I want to be the one that call your own or your favorite." And so what has she done to make those things, to make that happen, to reach those ends? Something there that she is hiding, and that's, I mean, if we've got time for it, something that will be revealed hopefully in the finale as well.
Yeah, I mean, presume that has to go somewhere. So we've got a whole
Yeah,
lot of stuff that has to go somewhere. And it does increasingly feel to me like, all right, well, some things will get resolved here at the end of season one, and other things will not. And thus
right.
we get season two. Yeah, I can't imagine they won't renew the show.
I just see no way that they won't let him have another. I mean, they've given him what, 5 seasons of Fargo. They're going to give him at least another season of Alien.
Yeah, and I mean, it really at least feels to me like a lot of people are watching the show.
Yes,
Um,
yes.
like Mina Kimes is podcasting about this show. It seems like it's being it's a success, right?
Yeah,
I saw an interview with Sigourney Weaver talking about how the show's better than the films or something. Like I think this show is a success, and so if they
yeah.
want to make more, I'm confident they'll have the chance to do so. All right, anything else you want to hit on with this one before we wrap
No,
up
I,
here?
I think that's it. I mean, I am really anticipating this finale. I will say as we end. We do have the title of there is this trailer out there. I don't really want to talk about that because I haven't really paid much attention to what's in it. But the title of episode 8, the finale, is The Real Monsters.
Yeah,
Now, this has the potential for you're telling us instead of showing us going on here. So I really hope we're not here a week from now saying, "Oh boy, they're pretty heavy-handed in the fact that the humans were the monsters all along," and it's just sort of this. Let's hope for the best there.
yeah. I mean, that's the straightforward interpretation, right? The real monsters are the human beings.
Right.
The real monsters are the trillionaires. And I'm fine with that. I mean, if that's, it's just not the most creative title, I
Right.
suppose.
Exactly.
Um,
Hopefully,
and
it's just
not
a red herring, meant to throw us off a little bit.
maybe if they're spinning in another direction, it's like, yeah, the real monsters are the flies.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, the flies are pretty scary. Um, but all right, yeah, looking forward to that. We'll wrap up our coverage of Alien Earth next week. Hopefully, you'll join us. Thanks always for listening to the podcast. If you enjoyed it, please do leave a good rating, review, all that good stuff. If you're on YouTube, hit the thumbs up, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Greatly appreciate it. Check out tvobsessive.com. Find written work and any number of shows there all the time, past and present, and all of that. You can follow us on social media. If you search for TV Obsessive, you should find us. And we'll be back with you next week.
All right. See you then for the finale.